Today you're going to learn how to create a PHP gallery inside your website, and this is something that a lot of you requested of me to do, so this is what we're going to be doing today. So as you can see in front of me, I do have a basic gallery that we can actually upload pictures to inside our website, and this is what I mean by a PHP gallery, because we can actually upload content to the gallery from inside the website itself. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to display the pictures like I've done here, and we're also going to create the upload feature, which is at the bottom here, that will only show if you're logged into the website. Now, because I've gotten a lot of feedback from previous lessons I've done with similar projects like this, I'm not going to be styling the content inside the website in this episode, because a lot of you told me that the CSS styling is something that took up too long in my videos. So if you want to have the exact same styling as me using the CSS, then you can go ahead and download the content or the lesson files in the description of this video if you want to have the same styling as me. So just know styling doesn't matter when it comes to creating things like this. The only thing that matters is creating the proper HTML to actually display the content, and the PHP code that is actually going to handle all the data and the pictures inside the website. So the CSS doesn't matter in this episode. You can create this entire website without CSS and it's still going to work. So that's just an extra thing you can download in the description if you want to. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create this gallery here. Now you can't click them and open them because that's a JavaScript feature that is front-end development. What I'm going to show you is how to actually upload pictures and display them inside the website like I've done here. So we're to go down and just say I want to create a new a new piece of content inside the gallery. I can go ahead and create a new file name for the actual file that gets uploaded to the website. And this is something I'm going to show you how to do because it is going to affect SEO inside your website, at least the way that the files are named inside your website. So you can actually rename pictures as an additional feature here if you want to. So what I can do is I can say, well, this is a photo. You can also leave it empty if you want to, and then it's just going to give a default name, which is not SEO friendly, but it's just going to do that. So I can say this is a photo. We can give it a title. So I can say, in this picture are things. And in the description, I'm just going to write something random, like so. And then I'm going to upload a picture. So I'm just going to click this button here and I'm going to upload one of the pictures that I downloaded for this specific lesson. Again, if you want these specific pictures, you can download them in the description of this video here if you want to. So I'm going to pick a random picture here. Now I already uploaded one of each picture onto the website already, but I'm just going to upload the same picture twice. So I'm just going to pick this one of a forest. Then I'm going to click upload, and then it's going to take me back to the gallery page with a upload success message inside the up in the URL. And then you can see we have the new pictures showing up here. Now the order of the pictures can either be done using CSS, since we have Flexbox now that can actually do that, or you can do it using PHP when you get the pictures from the database or from the root folder of our website. So this is what we're going to be building, and this was sort of an introduction to what we're going to be doing in this episode. So the first step we're going to be doing in order to accomplish this is we're going to create the database for this specific project here. The second step is that we're going to set up the HTML markup in order to actually upload and create content for this gallery. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to actually create the PHP code that will actually handle the upload of these different pictures and such. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to go to a completely clean version of this website because this is a finished version. I'm going to go to this version here, which is without the gallery page. I'm going to go up into the URL and say I want to access the gallery page, so gallery.php. And as you can see, I did not create a gallery page yet. We're going to do that together in this episode. Inside my database, I still haven't created a database or anything yet for the pictures, so we're going to do that as well in this episode here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to open up my root folder, because in my example here, which is actually the the HTML project I did my HTML course on this channel, at least this website is, I have this website here that has a couple of pages inside of it. Again, you might have a completely clean website if you don't have my files. It doesn't matter. You can use your own files if you want to. Just know that I'm going to create a copy of the cases page, which if I were to go back here and show it the cases page, looks like this. It's very basic. So I'm going to make a copy of this page and we're going to create a gallery for this page instead. So just going to go back to gallery.php. Oops, one more L, and then we have the name correctly. There we go. And then I'm going to go inside my root folder and just make a copy of cases.html. Then I'm going to change the name from cases.html to gallery.php because we want the PHP extension. You can mix and mix HTML files with PHP files. Just know that you can't have PHP code inside an HTML file. Just FYI. So I can actually go ahead and say gallery.php, then delete the HTML extension. And yes, I would like to change it. And then I'm going to open up inside my text editor. So as you can see, we now have a copy of the cases page, which is going to look the same as the cases page. So we're going to make some changes in here in order to make it look the way I want it to. All I have in here is a basic header with some meta information and that sort of thing. A link to a style sheet that like I said, we're going to skip that in this episode. And then I went ahead and just included a menu at the top of the website, a footer at the bottom, and then I went ahead and included the actual section that has the gallery inside of it in the middle here. So I'm just going to delete the, the content for the cases page, which is all these anchor tags. And when I delete them, you can actually see it looks very simple. We just have a section tag called cases links that I'm going to rename to gallery links. And then we have a wrapper that has an H2 element inside of it called not cases, but gallery. And again, I style all of these things inside my style sheet, but I haven't activated the styling yet. So it's going to look the same as on your screen, preferably if you're using my files. And then once I get to the styling, I will activate the styling that I created, and then you can just do the same as me. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just go ahead and set this page up for the content that we're going to display inside the website. So to start with, we have a gallery section here. And what we need to do is we need to create a a container for these different pictures that we're going to display inside the page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a div. And I'm going to give this one a class set to gallery container. Again, you could argue that a div might not be the best element to use in this case, but I'm just using it for an example here. So we're going to create a class called gallery container, and inside this container we're going to create all the different anchor tags that are going to contain the links or the content for each gallery. And then using JavaScript you can then click on the links and then open up the picture in full view if you want to. Like I said, that's JavaScript. We're not going to do that in this episode, but that's what that is for. So what we can do here is I can go and create the anchor tag that would actually open up the picture in full view if you had JavaScript enabled on this website. And inside the anchor tag, I'm going to create another div box. Now, the way I'm going to create the image is not by creating an image. I'm going to create a div box with a background set to the image, because it allows for us to customize where it's going to cut off the image and adjust the size of it and that sort of thing, which is much better in these type of galleries here. So I'm going to say we have not a class because we don't need that. We can just refer to the outside container. I'm going to create a pair of div tags, and I'm just going to close them off right after each other like this. Then I'm going to go below, and I want to create a title for each post or each gallery content. So I'm going to create an H3 tag, because we already have an H2 tag up here. So the next logical thing to create would be a H3 tag. Then I'm going to create a title. Now, one habit I have when I create things in a PHP website is I create everything in just plain HTML first, and then I transform it into PHP. So I want to actually see how it looks like inside the website before I create the PHP code for it. So I'm just going to create the HTML, and then we're going to get into the PHP afterwards, if that makes sense. So I'm going to just create a title here. I'm going to say this is a title. Then I'm going to create a paragraph underneath it, where I say this is a paragraph, just so we have something. And I think that is pretty much it. So I'm just going to copy the anchor tag, paste it below maybe 4 more times. So we have 5 different pieces of content. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go inside my website, refresh, and now I can see we have some content inside the website. Now, the idea here is that using styling, I will go ahead and style the gallery title so it actually looks like a title at the top of the website. I will go ahead and take the div boxes and make them into a square in equal width and height. And then I'm going to display the text underneath them. And that is going to be wrapped inside this anchor tag right here that will then float next to each other inside the page. And we're not going to be using float, of course, because that is a old-fashioned thing to do today. But I will be using Flexbox in order to, transform them next to each other inside the website. And that is all done using CSS. Again, this is basic CSS. If you are in a PHP course, you should know how to do this. But I know some people have trouble when it comes to displaying content, and some people even want their website to look the same as mine in these sort of videos. So if you want to, again, go to my Patreon page and get the content for this lesson if you absolutely want to have the same files as I do inside this lesson here. So now that we have this, I am going to go down to the bottom and I'm going to apply the form to the website. Now the form that we can upload content to the website from is going to be a regular HTML form, but it is going to be a form that we can only see if we're logged in as, for example, the admin of the website. Now, if you are in doubt about how you can create a login system, because we're not going to create an entire login system in this episode, I have a completely separate episode on just creating a login system you can watch, and then it's going to perfectly fit into this episode if you want to do that. I will link that in the description if you want to see it. So if you don't know how to create a login system, watch that first, then come back here, preferably, or just allow everyone to upload content to a website. It doesn't really matter. You can just apply it afterwards if you want to. So moving on with the lesson here, I'm going to create a form at the bottom here. Before I do that, I will create a section because I do need to have a different banner of some sort with the upload feature inside of it, like I did inside this website here at the bottom, some kind of background that has a different color or something to just make it stand out. And again, this will only show if you're logged into the website. So I'm going to create again, some people might not agree with me on this, but I'm just going to create a div box or a div element. And I'm going to call this one gallery upload. Like so, inside the class name. Then inside the div, I'm going to create a form. And I'm going to delete the class because we don't actually need it. We can, again, just refer to the outside class name and then say we want to grab the form inside this class. Instead of having index.html, I'm going to be linking to a file that will have the PHP code inside of it that will actually upload the picture and the information about the title and description into the database. So I'm going to create a folder inside my root folder before we change this though, because me personally, when it comes to PHP websites, I like to have my extra PHP pages or documents inside a separate folder inside my root folder. So because this PHP page that will actually upload the gallery pictures is not going to be an actual page inside the website, then I like to put them inside a separate folder called includes. So this is going to be a include PHP file, if that makes sense. Again, you don't have to do this, but it's just a way to organize it in a slightly better way. So inside my root folder, I'm going to create a new folder. And I'm going to call this one includes. I-N-C-L-U-I. I'm just not going to spell it out because I'm going to mess it up. I'm going to write on the screen instead. Includes, and inside the includes folder, we're going to insert this file that will be called gallery-upload.inc.php. So I'm going to go back inside the website, create a new file, which will upload the actual picture once we get to it. And I'm going to save it inside my includes folder and call it gallery-upload. Now this next part, .inc.php, is not something you have to call it. It's something that makes it easier for me to know that this is an include file. It doesn't do anything. It is just naming. So don't get confused about the .inc part. So I'm going to say .inc.php. Again, it doesn't do anything because I get a lot of questions about when I do this in previous lessons. So it is just naming. Inside this file, we're not going to do anything just quite yet because we're going to go back to the gallery page, and then I'm going to go inside my form tags here, and I'm going to go ahead and change the action because now we do actually have the page that we're going to link to. So I'm going to change the action to a file inside a includes folder. So we need to include that as well. / and then it's called gallery-upload.inc.php. The method is going to be set to post. Now, because we have a, a file that we need to upload, we need to include an inc type attribute inside this form here. So we're going to say inc type. Now, I do want to point out that if you don't know how to upload files, just basic files, I do have a separate lesson on that previously. So if you want to know how to do this, it's going to be very similar to that specific lesson. So I'm going to link that episode in the description as well, because it will explain that, for example, when we need to upload files, we need to have the inc type set to multi-part form data inside our form. Otherwise, it won't upload our file to whatever we want to upload it to. So we need to have this inside our form in order for it to actually be able to upload files. Okay, so inside this form here, we're going to go ahead and include the different inputs that we need. So we're going to create an input, and I'm going to keep it as text. I want to set the name to something like file name. I do have a cheat sheet next to me here because there's a lot of code I need to remember for this episode. Or not remember, but I want everything to work perfectly. So I have a cheat sheet next to me here. The value I'm going to change here, so I'm just going to delete it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and include a placeholder, because that might be a good idea, to explain to the user what exactly this input is going to be doing inside the website. So inside the placeholder, I'm going to say that this is going to be a file name. Again, once we do get to the PHP code, we will allow for this to be optional if the user doesn't want to change the file name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, paste it below, and then I'm going to change the name not to file name, but instead it's going to be the file title. Then I'm going to change the placeholder to image title. And then I'm going to paste it below again. And the second one, or the third one here, is going to be the file description. So it's just going to be file desc for short, because we don't want to write more than we have to. And then we're going to say image description inside here. So it'll actually say image description inside the input. So now that we have this, we just need to include one more input tag, and that is going to be the actual button that allows for us to grab an image on our computer and upload it to the browser. So we're going to say we have another input. The type is going to be set to file. The name is going to be set to just file, just so we have that for now. It is the same name we used for the previous lesson I talked about, where we learned how to upload images. So it's going to be a bit similar to that episode. We don't need to have a placeholder, so I'm just going to delete that. And then we just need to have a button inside here. So I'm going to create a button. And I want to set the button type to submit. And I want to set the name to submit. And then, of course, we need to have some text inside the button. So I'll just call it upload. There you go. So now we should have everything we need inside the actual browser here, inside the page, inside the website. So if we were to go back to the one we're actually creating right now, refreshing, you can see that we now have all the HTML that we need to have inside this page. Now I'm going to allow or enable my CSS styling. I do want to point out that the images that are going to be on top of the titles up here, I went ahead and just gave them a background color set to something like red in order to just show a placeholder for the image until we do actually get a proper image in here from the database or from the from inside our website. So for now, just know that it's going to be placeholder images, just so we can see how it looks like. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab my CSS file. And I'm going to go ahead and just enable my styling. So it's in here. You can actually drag it over if you want to, but because it makes it hard for you guys to see, I'm just going to drag it down to my styling here. As you can see, I commented out. I did need to change one more thing, which was the background color. I told you guys it was going to be the placeholder. So now, if I were to go inside the website, refresh, It's not going to do anything because I think we need to clear our browser cached images and files, because that's something you need to do sometimes when you change CSS. I'm going to clear it, go back to my website, refresh, and as you can see, we now have a a gallery section inside the website. So this is how this page over here look like, but we don't have the proper images and we don't have the proper text and stuff yet. So again, this is just basic CSS. If you want to get the files, go in the description, get them from my Patreon page if you want to have the same files. Again, I'm advertising quite a bit for my Patreon page in this episode because a lot of people don't know they can go to my Patreon and get the files for my lessons here. So, hi, Daniel here, just to sort of jump in and interrupt the video you're watching. So before uploading this video, I did a vote on my channel to find out if this video should be uploaded into one long video or if it should be split into multiple parts. And half and half said one and the other. So what I ended up doing was I took the arguments that you guys came with and decided in the end to split it into multiple parts because there was a lot of good arguments for people who wanted to do that. So that's what I decided to do here. So this first video you just watched is going to be about the HTML and CSS setup of this PHP gallery that we're building this episode. Now in the next episode, and probably the one after that, because it's going to be 3 videos, just about. I haven't quite decided yet, but I'm sitting here still editing the video, and this is the first part I just finished. So it's definitely going to be 3, if not 4 parts. I'm going for 3 videos. So this first part is going to be about the HTML. The next part is going to be about the PHP setup that is going to continue directly after where I cut this video right here after. What did we do? We just finished creating the background colors for the galleries. So we had a placeholder. So in the next video, we're going to actually do something related to PHP. And again, if you guys want to download whatever we did in this episode, you can go and do that in the description of this video and get the actual the entire website that I used in this episode, because a lot of people ask me about the lesson files and I used to give it away for free. I don't do that anymore, and that is something that I started not doing because of you guys. You actually told me to put them into a Patreon page, and in that way you could support me on Patreon for the files. So I'm really glad that you guys suggested that, because that is actually the thing that allowed for me to do YouTube full time. So I just want to thank you all for allowing me to jump into Patreon and supporting me of doing it, because I was really hesitant about doing it in the past, because I did consider it before you suggested it to me. And it's something that just, I wasn't quite ready to jump into it until you guys came in and told me to do it. So I just want to thank you all for actually doing that. I have advertised quite a bit for my Patreon on my videos. I've gone back in videos and done so as well. So I just want to thank you, and I hope that you'll go to the next video and watch that part, because that's the exciting part where we do actually set up the actual gallery page inside using PHP code. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next episode.